All right, everybody, we're back. Episode number 2. Thank y'all for watching the first one. Those who have, like I said, this is something that we want to do more and more often, and we want to just keep expanding it, whatever that looks like. So thank y'all for tuning in. If y'all are tuning in, shout out to y'all. Want to start off by saying we just dropped 45 new items on the website. Got this cardigan, super sick little Boy Scout loop collar. Just some of them sitting behind me. We're really hype on this recent drop. It's full of really good stuff. So check that out. We're filming this on the day of a drop. So this probably gonna come out today or Wednesday. So if you're listening to this, it's definitely live. So go peep what we just dropped. But yeah, let's just get right into it. I want to start with a viewer question because we have one question. We have one really good question. It's a really good question. And gonna definitely spend some time talking about that. So I wanted to start with that. Shout out to Mason Burnett. If you're listening, man, shout out to you. Thanks for the question. Really, really good question. But he said, you seem to find a ton of clothing that directly fits your aesthetic. Was curious what lengths you go to source these and what areas you've had to get creative. Huge fan of your company, my man. Keep killing it. Yo, Mason, thank you, bro. Thank you for your love, man. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the kind words. Seriously, we really, really appreciate that. But, yeah, we get this question a lot. We get this question of how we even source the things that we source because I understand it is pretty niche, because I've gone to the Goodwills and whatnot. And, yeah, like the stuff that we sell, like you're not just walking into Goodwill low-key for the most part. You're not just walking into Goodwill and finding this stuff, like just sitting on the racks, It's just like a lot of it is just too old to do that. So, we get this question often, and I know exactly where you're coming from. But basically, and this will kind of bring us into the first point that I want to talk about. But basically, I mean, we source literally from the community around us. We source from the people around us, the people who I go to the bins with, or did go to the bins with. Really just homies. We're really just our friends in business, and that's kind of it. And I think that's it's a simple concept, and it's a lot easier said than done because it takes time to build up a community of people who want to support you, and hook you up with sourcing opportunities and whatnot. So we do have to get creative every now and then, if we're in a bit of a time crunch, sourcing how much inventory you have, how much readily inventory you have always goes up and down. So sometimes you have to get creative, but I mean, for the most part, it's really just community. We really just source from the people who we kind of have been around in the same business with for a while. And that's essentially it. And that kind of brings me to my first point about the importance of community in this business and reselling. If y'all resell, then I'm sure you have, gone to the bins or whatever. And I talked about this a little bit last time, but like the community of the bins and what that even is and like what that looks like. It's something that is very particular to the bins. To reselling, if you know, then you know. If you've been a part of that, then like you definitely know. Like it's a pretty niche community. I think that's something that's like makes selling vintage like so fun because of the community. But yeah, I mean it's super important, super important. It's very strong. It's kind of like, I don't know. In my eyes, it's almost kind of hard to succeed if you don't have a lot, or especially if you don't start off with like a lot of community. Like a good community builder, because there's so many things I've learned throughout the years just from the people around me doing the same thing, kind of. You learn so much by just chopping it up with your peers, and reselling. So if you are reselling, that's like one major tip I would give to you is get a network of communities. Like just get to know people and like work with people, because like those will pay so many dividends. That'll definitely set you up for more success, because it's not that it's like, oh, it's hard doing it alone, not necessarily doing it with other people, but it's just like when you have a community that supports you, it changes so much. It changes so much. Like, we can literally source all of our stuff because of our community that we built in North Carolina, the community that we have down here in Georgia. It plays just a crucial role. Also, it makes it so much more fun. You know, if you have like a good community around you, like I remember going to the bins like every single day, like, and seeing those guys every single day. Like, I saw them more than I saw like my family sometimes, because I would go to the bins 5 days a week, and they would also be there 5 days a week. So we'd just spend so much time together. So it just makes it so much more fun and enjoyable to like have friendship amongst like your peers and who are doing the same thing. I mean, I get it, like bins can be kind of annoying, and like, sure, you're all in the same business, so technically you're competitors, but I don't know, I feel like when you look past that, then there's a lot of joy in the community and stuff like that, and you don't need to get caught up on that competitive, but I mean, honestly, like, selling vintage, like, dude, there's enough for like literally everyone to sell vintage. So that's fire. So that's the answer to that question. Really just the community. First thing I want to talk about is community, stuff like that. Kind of brings us to the next point too, is with community, you'll probably start getting involved in pop-ups and whatnot. And right now the pop scene is crazy right now. So again, if you resell vintage, you know just kind of like the effect that pop-ups have had the last couple of years. There's definitely been something that has definitely, people either like them, people don't like them. People feel a way about big events coming to their city and whatnot, and people feel, not represented well in them. And I mean, I just figured I would just talk a little bit about our experience doing pop-ups and like what is kind of going on right now and like where I think pop-ups are headed. This is all just my opinion as well. So y'all could totally disagree, but pop-up. We started doing pop-ups like when the pandemic ended. That's when we started to do pop-ups, and they were a really cool thing because everyone was locked inside, and everybody wanted to kind of go out and do something that's outside with other people. That's kind of what we saw happen, and they were really, really great to start out. I mean, for a solid 6 months, close to a year, like they were really, really good and super fruitful. We'd go out there, sell a bunch of clothes people would love to buy, and they slowly became like a very big part of our business, like a very big revenue stream on how we made money, stuff like that. But again, also being out there with the community, being out there with your homies, like you got a booth right next to your homie, y'all are just chopping it up the whole time. Someone comes up and buys something, like that's a fun job. Like that's a fun way to work for a day, So we were doing that for a while, and we were doing that hard for a while. I remember like the most pop-ups we did in like a month was like 5, and most pop-ups happen on like a Saturday. And so I guess we did like 4 Saturdays back to back, and then also threw in like a Sunday pop-ups too. So yeah, we were going hard, and like all of these pop-ups are not in the same city. At this point, if you're hitting like 4 a month, y'all know, like, dude, you're traveling to different states. You're traveling like 2 to 4 hours to a different city to sell. And like I said, like that's fun. That is fun. You're just grinding that weekend and like selling clothes. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we were doing that for a while. We were doing that for probably like a year and a half. And then we kind of noticed pop-ups the work wasn't slowing down, right? Like it's always the same amount of work. You always have to go out for the whole day, unload, load up. You always have to drive. Like that is a steady number. But what was going down was like how much we were making off of them, how much they were like paying off actually. So, and it was just slowly getting lower and lower. And that could be for many reasons. That could just be because there were so many pop-ups. Like, I mean, if you're working with the same customer base, like you can only do so many pop-ups, I feel like, and expect so much from them. So like they were getting less and less rewarding. And it was just like I said, like they were just so much work. So, we kind of decided after, a series of like unrewarding pop-ups that like, we need to like stop, or not that we need to stop, but like we just need to be more selective about which pop-ups we do, because if we're gonna spend like this time and we're gonna like lock in and you spend a whole Saturday doing this, even a little bit on Friday and a little bit on Sunday with like the unloading and loading up and the whole tacking process too. Like if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna spend this much time, then we need to make sure that like it pays off for the time that we spend. So then we just kind of became a little more selective with the pop-ups and whatnot. So now at this point we don't really do too many pop-ups just because we really decided to push the e-commerce and like, hey, like let's just sell things online, like, and that's what we've been going with. The last pop-up we did was ThriftCon in Atlanta. If you were there, shout out to you. But yeah, that's the last one that we did. That was I want to say that was like earlier this year. I want to say like February. It was April. Yeah, I just remember it being so cold. But yeah, so that was the last one that we did. We haven't done one since then, so it's been a while. But yeah, pop-ups are going crazy right now. ThriftCon going to Charlotte. They just dropped that. That's crazy. Charlotte has just become an insane mecca of vintage recently. These last couple of years, it's been crazy. Because I remember when again, back to the roots, I feel like I always bring this up, but like back when I was at the Benz and whatnot, Charlotte didn't really have a whole lot going on. I mean, they had a couple stores. They have Old News Vintage, at the time. Now they got my man Matt over there with Locker Room, killing it. But at the time, all they had was Old News Vintage, and there was a lot of people in North Carolina, honestly, selling vintage, because North Carolina, I don't know what it is. There's so many bins that are like all within like 2 hours from each other. So you got all these different communities who sell, and there was just no place really in North Carolina for those people to like congregate and do what they do, like as one big community. And that was a couple years ago. So I feel like a couple years ago there was not much going on. But now it's like, dude, it's popping, bro. ThriftCon is going to Charlotte. Like, dude, that's crazy. Like ThriftCon, like other places ThriftCon goes to is Atlanta, Miami, Los Angeles. I think they did Las Vegas, but like New York, like big, very large cities, like very, very large cities. So now they just add Charlotte to that rotation. They also did Houston. Like, bro, Charlotte now, like, dude, that's crazy to like think that Charlotte's on that same level of a city, and it might not be. It might be a little below, but you're telling me it's on like the same level of like New York vintage fat? Like, that's crazy. Like, that's insane. So I think that's really interesting. Charlotte has just been going nuts with the vintage, and if y'all don't know, that's where we are from. That's where we started. But I go to school down here in Atlanta, so that's why we moved everything down here. But yeah, like that's really crazy. Like, what are y'all's thoughts on that? Do y'all think, how do y'all feel about ThriftCon going to these cities that have maybe a little bit more of a niche community, you know? Kind of, they already got their things going on, you know? Like I mentioned, Matt from Locker Room, Charlotte's been having a ton of pop-ups. You know, Matt's been doing a ton of pop-ups in Charlotte. So like, what do y'all think about that? Like, if a city or community has something going on, and then like another larger company, you know, like ThriftCon, someone that's a lot like a very, very notable, very large, like kind of comes in, sees the opportunity and seizes the opportunity. What do y'all think about that? I mean, business is business. Like, it's a very interesting perspective and something to think about, because it's like, yeah, like, you know, it's kind of like, oh, you got this like a little farmer's market, then like a Walmart comes in and builds a Walmart right next to the farmer's market, and then everyone's just like, bro. So yeah, what do y'all think about that? Definitely leave some comments. I don't know when the next pop-up we'll do is. I mean, maybe we're looking for some to do down here in Atlanta, like a little local one every now and then. But I mean, honestly, we're just so busy. It would be hard to just find like a Saturday. But I mean, who knows? You know, who knows what we'll get into. I know there's definitely some opportunities in Atlanta. But like I said, I don't know how rewarding they would be. I don't even know what the scene is like down here, because all we've done is ThriftCon. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, pop-ups are going crazy. Let me know what y'all think about these pop-ups. And to add on a little bit more about the whole pop-up thing, especially right now, like what's going on right now. Obviously, like all my Charlotte people, North Carolina people. They're kind of hot. They're kind of hot about this whole ThriftCon thing. I just think it's really interesting because it also brings up the thing of like, okay, look, because the way I don't know if y'all are aware, but the way ThriftCon does their vendors, how they get their vendors, it's all through Patreon. So if you don't know what Patreon is, it's like you pay for, you pay a little bit a month and like you get extra content, whatever. It's for like content creators. So if you really like this one artist, you can do his Patreon and he'll like give you a lot more content, and that's kind of the trade-off. Like you support him, but you also get a little bit more in return. So basically ThriftCon has this Patreon setup where it's like you pay a little bit a month and that'll give you like first access to getting a vendor booth. Because obviously, like I said, ThriftCon is huge, like has such a huge following. People want to vend there all the time. So like the spots sell out so fast. But what's happening now is like so many people are on the Patreon. Basically, all the spots fill up before they even drop vendor booths. And when they drop vendor booths, it's such like a grab and such like a panic that like a lot of people from the Charlotte community aren't even being able to get a vendor booth. And you have a lot of people who are honestly coming from out of town, who are coming out of town into a city that already has a developed vintage scene and basically making money off of that community, which is almost it's definitely, maybe not that. Okay, I probably should say that. It's a hot take. It's a hot take to say the least. Honestly, I kind of don't agree with it, bro. Just because, like I said, if you're part of a community, right, and you've been building this thing up in this city, and you've been working hard, and you've seen how the audience of a community has become more and more open and acceptable to vintage fashion, right? Then just to have some big name like ThriftCon come in, and you have a bunch of out of town vendors, like whatever, like that's definitely it's not the best look. It's not the best look. And I got nothing against ThriftCon. They hooked us up with, a vendor booth availability. When they came to Atlanta, they hit us up and they posted about us. So I got love for ThriftCon. I do have love for ThriftCon. I think what they do is great. But I just think, again, and this could be for anybody. This could be for any big vintage pop-up resale thing. I know ThriftCon is just like the biggest name, but it could just be for anything. Going to a different city and kind of eating from that community, eating, money from that community, and it's not going back into the community. Like whatever money is made from the out-of-town vendors and ThriftCon, they're making from Charlotte, but it's not even going back into Charlotte, from an economy standpoint. So I could definitely see there's a lot of reasons why, it's people don't like it. Like, and I definitely understand. I definitely get it. I think it'll be interesting to see if, a lot of the Charlotte people who do the pop-ups in Charlotte, even try and vend at ThriftCon, if they even go. It'll be interesting to see because, like I said, like, sure, it's a good opportunity if you do get a vendor booth, like you're gonna sell clothes. But at the same time, it's like, okay, like who am I supporting and like what am I standing up for? Like by me vending there, like what am I saying? What am I doing? You have to be a little conscious about that. Because it is a little crazy. It is crazy, but I know there's definitely a lot of people in North Carolina that are probably going to get vendor booths and going to vend there. And that just kind of like goes to show like the different, honestly, vintage communities in North Carolina, bro. You got the people in Raleigh, you got the people out there in the sticks, like out in like the mountains and stuff, out by like Boone and whatnot. Then you have like Charlotte people, and those are kind of like the main communities, I'd say. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see just exactly what happens. I don't even know when ThriftCon Charlotte is. I know that they just dropped their booths like on Friday or Saturday or something. So I would like to think it's probably like a month from now, maybe. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's crazy. It's popping off right now, and I had to talk about it. So that's that. Another question that we got, someone commented on the last podcast on YouTube. Basically, he said it'd be cool to see you kind of elaborate more on the process of the hickory stripes. So I want to take some time and say shout out to everyone who got the hickory stripes. Y'all been showing love. They've been moving. We have less than half, which is good because, we had 47 pairs. We had 47 pairs. We have less than half now. So if you still want to grab your size, grab them. I think we have like maybe one size 32. We have lots of 34s, 35s, 36s. We even have some 37s and I think some 38s too. So if you are on that bigger spectrum, 35, 36 and up, take a look. Go grab your size because we still have some available. But thank you for everyone who's bought them. But to answer that guy's question, on the process a little bit, it was a long process. I'm not even going to lie. It's a long process because basically what has to be done for these drops that we do is, one, we have to get all the denim. So all the denim is secondhand denim. It's not necessarily super old. Some of them are, but they're not necessarily like all 1980s or not all 1990s denim, because think about that. If you get a 1980s pair of Levi's, like that could just sell normally, and you kind of don't want to like disrespect that. You don't want to like, obviously you're not messing the beauty up, but it's just like it's already good enough on it by itself, but then you have like these straight leg denim that we got from like 2000s, 2010s, like they're just secondhand denim, that is not as desirable clearly. So we're kind of taking something undesirable and making it desirable. And that was kind of our thing. So first off, we had to get all the denim. We had to get all the denim, which took a while because, again, I'm trying to keep sizes in mind. I'm trying to be size conscious here and think about our audience. So I'm trying to get a lot of sizes, 30s, 31s, 32s, 33s. I'm trying to get a lot of those sizes, but it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult to get 50 pairs of those all from like, a Goodwill essentially. It takes a while. It takes a while. So one, we had to get all of them. Two, we had to get them sewn. And while I did some, I did about a third of them. We had like 35 pairs actually sewn by a grandma. Shout out to her. She's definitely been hooking us up. Definitely, we've been blessed with someone who has come from that background. She used to sew wedding dresses. So that's been really great, especially when we first started. I didn't really know what I was doing on like a sewing machine, and I wasn't super apt to just like grinding and just doing the same thing over and over again, because it's just sewing the flare in over and over again. And personally, even now, it gets annoying because it's just like I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. I don't want to spend 10 hours like just sewing 10 pairs of jeans with the flare in them. Like that is not something that I want to spend time on. It's something that we would want to pay for and outsource for. But so so it's so it's the sourcing, it's actually putting the flare in, and then the time spent for like developing the concept. Like these ideas, you don't just wake up with these ideas. So a lot of the times, like there was a lot of time spent on the concept and the concept development, just how we want it to look, right? So then you get the idea. You get the idea part, which those can be like a subconscious thing. Those can be like a, you have a bunch of ideas just all the time. So you put those down. But then it's executing the idea. So like I wanted to do the stripe. So then I was looking at block printing, and I was thinking about what if there was a block printing stripe. It needs to roll instead of just, a block that you kind of stamp. It needs to roll. So I'm like, okay, how do we do a roll thing? I'm like, well, we could put it on like a rolling pin. But then it's like, okay, get the rolling pin and like carve the lines in. That takes a while. That takes a couple hours. And then it's all the testing, because you can't just roll right into like this beautiful pair of flare denim you just sewed. Oh, well, let's see how the paint looks. Like you got to test it out. So test it out, and then it's get the paint, figure out how to do the paint, and then it's to actually paint all of them, which takes even more hours, because it's like you paint one side, you got to let it dry, and then you got to flip them over, paint the other side, and it's 47 pairs. Like they took us a minute. Like it took us a long time. We have been talking about these for probably since the summertime, probably since about halfway through the summertime, and then they just released October. So at the end of October. So like that process is something that we're always trying to speed up because we know like how much you guys love that. So we're trying to speed that process up, but it's just like, okay, well, we can only do so much, because at some point it does take time. Like it just takes time. And right now, time is not something that we have a lot of. So we're just kind of working through it. We're just kind of working through it and trying to speed that process up. But yeah, the process is insane. The process is wild. It's a lot more than just getting vintage clothes, giving them a wash, picturing, labeling, and putting them up on the website. You know, that's pretty standard. It's very doable. That's how we can drop like a ton of items a week, because it's just vintage clothing. But when it comes to actually making it and upcycling, it's a lot more. It's definitely a lot more. So that's a little bit about the process. And I don't think we had any other viewer questions. I can double check though. Let's see where. Let's just even see how the last episode did. How many places does it have on Spotify? So if you haven't watched it, again, it's on Spotify, Apple Podcast. 64 views, man. Let's go. 64 views. We have 19 subscribers. Shout out to all 19 of you who are subscribed. 13 likes. Appreciate y'all. 35 plays on Spotify. Okay, so we close to 100. We're basically at 100. 64 views on YouTube. 35 plays on Spotify. That's cool. Thank you guys for that. I hope you guys have been enjoying this. Something we want to do more. And again, we're going to get people on here soon. I just got to send some messages and get them to come over, because yeah, I would love someone else to just talk about like vintage fashion with, or even just like fashion in general, or vintage reselling, whatever y'all want to hear more of. Like if y'all want more fashion conversation, let me know. If y'all want more vintage resale conversation, let me know. Yeah, definitely let us know, because we can totally talk about anything. Like I said in the last one, there's so many different things that we could talk about. So don't be afraid to just throw some outlandish stuff. And also just, ask us questions on the comments of Instagram Reels that we post, or DM us, or comment on the YouTube, like whatever you want to know. Like literally comment. I will answer whatever. So yeah, that's with that. Kind of another thing I want to talk about was Instagram. I know I just mentioned it, but I want to talk about Instagram right now. A couple things about Instagram. First off is the Instagram algorithm is insane right now. If you're trying to run a business on Instagram, you know how wild the algorithm is right now and how much it's changed in the last like month or so. It's crazy. And people say it's the iOS 13 update, iOS 17 update. I don't know what iOS we're on, dude, but it's that update. Instagram changed their stuff up. So now it's just like everyone is like trying to crack the code of what the Instagram algorithm is. Everyone's trying to like do different things to be like, okay, well, what works, what doesn't. I know personally, our stories no one's been seeing our Instagram story. And, we post Instagram stories every night about the items that are available, kind of similar to like a story sale, how resellers do, but we have like the product tags and whatnot. So it's kind of like our way of doing the story sale. So we used to get a ton of views on that. Like every night we would post, and we used to get a ton of views. People used to see it. Like Instagram really pushed that towards people. But now it's just like that has dropped off significantly. Now no one really sees our stories anymore. Well, I mean, it's a decent amount of y'all still do, but it takes like a full 24 hours to get like a quarter of what we used to get. So it's dropped significantly. We've, ads have been kind of been missing a little bit. I wish Instagram would just kind of go back to how it used to do stuff. Like if you followed a person and they posted, that's what you get. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, you haven't interacted with this account in a while. So even if they post, like we're not going to show it to you because you haven't interacted with that account. But it's like, dude, I follow that person for a reason. So it's kind of annoying because now we have, we've put in all the work and like spent the money on ads to like, try and get as much followers as we can. And while we're close to like 17K, it's like, okay, 17K, but we get like a couple thousand views on a reel. Like, it's like, bro, what is that ratio? Like, what about the other 15,000 people that follow us? They're just not seeing our stuff. So that's kind of annoying. We're trying to crack that code. So if for some reason you're listening to this and you haven't been seeing our social media content, try to like click on our profile and like interact with our account a little more, and then you'll get the post. I don't know. I really don't know, but I've talked to other people too, and they're like, dude, yeah, like my stories have gone down so much. Like posts have like gotten such like less engagement and whatnot. They just done switched it up. They switched it up, and this happens like every now and then. I wouldn't say to this degree. I would say this is probably one of the crazier switch ups. just because we've had to figure a lot more out. But I mean, it does happen. It does happen. They switch the algorithm up, and we just have to, change a couple things, a couple pivots. But lately, it's been unreal. I mean, we've been trying to even do TikTok. Bro, I even think TikTok is corrupt too, man. Like, that thing is unreal. Like, we post all of our videos. We have like 800 followers, I think. We post all our videos that we post on Instagram on there, and they get like 300, 400 views real fast, and then they just stop. Like, it just stops. Like, TikTok just stops. And I've been noticing that when I'm on TikTok will tell you, like, they'll advertise their promote feature, and they'll advertise their ads, basically. Like, they'll be like, an ad will pop up and be like, a guy will be like, oh, like, my videos used to only do this much, but since I started using TikTok promote, which is their like ad thing, he's like, my views have gone up so much. So TikTok is like telling me that. Stopping our videos at 300, 400 views, pitching us this whole promote thing. It's crazy. I mean, to me, it's just like, dude, they're literally not showing our videos to people because they want us to buy ads and like pay them, which is just crazy, bro. Is that what we do nowadays? It sucks. It's annoying. Yeah. And Instagram CEO has said that Instagram doesn't do that. But it's just like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It kind of almost makes sense for Instagram or TikTok to do that, because it's just like, okay, yeah, we have this advertising thing. We can reach so many people. People have to pay for this reach, unless it's like the odd chance that like something goes viral. But then again, like this whole thing makes you even question, like, okay, well, what even is viral now? Like, what even goes viral? Like, going viral doesn't seem as much as an accident as it used to seem. Going viral seems like a lot more planned out now, and it seems like that much more rare now to go viral, which like doesn't make sense, because it's just like, when the internet first started, things would go viral, and it's like, what in the world is this? Like, how is everyone seeing this? But now it like makes so much sense that like, yeah, I'm gonna put something on the internet and everyone's gonna see it, but like nobody sees it. It's just crazy. It's crazy how it works. And unfortunately, as e-commerce, like this is what you just have to like deal with and like work through. Because I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. You sell anything online. If you run a business online through social media, like this is just what it is, and it's just very difficult. So that's kind of all I had to cover. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. I don't know how long this one is. Probably not. Maybe as long. But again, comment what you want to hear. We're working to get people on it. Any questions, whatever. I'll keep coming up with ideas to talk about and just keep kind of trying different things out. We hope you've been enjoying these things. Again, go look at what we just dropped today. Brand new drop. Cardigan, loop collar. We also have some really cool bottoms too. Like this pair of like 60s denim is really, really sick. Small size on this guy, but I mean, still really cool. Really cool fade. Just an old pair of denim right here. I love the back pockets. I love the fade on them. Old denim. We know y'all guys like that. And then we have this pair is really cool. Then we have like these bell bottoms, but it's such an interesting texture. It's like a corduroy, but it's not a corduroy. It's like a different play on corduroy. But I mean, the bell's kicking. And the long inseam, super 70s on these guys. Really, really cool though. Really cool. They have like the exterior cuff. So this is like a built-in cuff right here. Like, you can't uncuff this because it's literally sewn in to the pant. But yeah, really, really cool pair of pants. We have a bunch of other pants too, a bunch of tops. Like I said, like old cardigan, little loop collar. I love this loop collar, by the way. This Boy Scout loop collar, dude, with the little Sanforized tag. Like, dude, that's so good. Like, that's so good. Are you kidding, dude? You join Boy Scouts back in the 60s and 70s, get absolutely dripped out, dude. Yeah, check all these items out. Available on the website right now. We'll work on getting the next podcast up real soon for y'all. It's kind of it. Comment, again, ask questions. A bunch of clothes coming for you. Yeah, Despise Gossip. Let's go.